Well, hello. Welcome to the Ramon Foster Show, starring, not coincidentally, Ramon Foster. And, Moan, this show is brought to you by the Get Go Cafe and Market, where they are open for business 24/7, hot, fresh food.
Mm-hmm. You know what? That's clutch for people that get up super early, or you know what? Late at night, during the daytime, anytime, basically, right?
Yeah, we're kind of opposites in that regard, aren't we?
We are, man.
You're up at 4:30 in the morning for that radio gig?
Don't remind me. You know what happens early in the morning, too? Is the road crew in the South doesn't necessarily clean like they do up north.
No,
so
they call off sick.
Kids out of school today.
You know what I'm going to reference. You remember the Super Bowl when the Steelers were playing down in Fort Worth? The Steelers were staying in a hotel in Fort Worth, and there's snow/ice storm, and everything closed,
shut down. Now, mind you, we're down there, and we're like, "What's the problem?"
What's going on?
Let me tell you what the problem was. No, the problem was they were putting sand down. Okay.
Yeah, I remember this on the freeways. They didn't even have salt.
That was like shuffleboard. What are we doing here? I got to sprinkle the salt on the table. That's basically what it was. And we were driving to a practice, and I remember seeing a bus on the side of the highway. Luckily, it's flat in Dallas, but it was a bus in the ditch over there.
I had to do a lot of driving because you'll recall the team hotel, your hotel, was in Fort Worth. So I stayed in Fort Worth so I could be closer to the lobby and, try to get scoops and stuff like that. But then when you guys practiced or the Packers practiced, we had to go to those places.
We were at TCU.
And I'm like, you couldn't even get up the ramps to get on the freeways.
No, it was bad. And that's what it turned into today. That kids got out of school today, TK.
I know. They call it asynchronous classes is what they call it.
I'll tell you what, they got 3 days left of snow days, and February is usually the worst month for snow and ice in Tennessee. They're going to be going to school in the summertime is what's next.
This is officially the worst football podcast ever. Let's talk about actual football here.
But this year I found out about what a nor'easter was. I never knew what a nor'easter was.
Now, as long as you know where the apostrophe goes, though, you're good.
So y'all got it too in Pittsburgh. But you're right.
No, they skip nor'easter.
Skip.
Always skip Pittsburgh. They go like a U shape. They come down from Manitoba and do this, and then they curl up the East Coast, and we just laugh at it as it goes by. But I'm not going to be laughing because I got to go to Boston on Monday, so I'll be getting hit with the nor'easter. Worst ever football podcast continues. This first segment, I just want to take one really, really specific point.
Okay.
When I would talk with you NFL player types, and I'm talking about no tape recorder, no nothing, all of you knew who was feeling a little on the other side. Okay? Like I can identify, for example, a certain player who used to wear 99 for the Pittsburgh Steelers who once pulled me over in a locker room in Charlotte, North Carolina, and said, we knew that guy wasn't going to beat us, meaning Cam Newton.
Yeah.
Did you see something? I heard that from you guys about Andy Dalton and about other guys. What happened to Patrick Mahomes in the final few minutes of that game? What was that?
You know what? I can. The legend is what happened. Everything that he has done, everything that he has been, which is awesome, amazing, is what happened in the fourth quarter. He was trying to be a hero instead of just giving it to Robin. He should have just given it to Robin numerous times down the field. The very thing he did in the first half of that game. You got to think about the play with Tyreek in the first half, where it ended. I think that legitimately may have shook him a little bit. I think it may have just like, we didn't get in. Tyreek is faster than anybody. Then you have a guy, I don't want to call him a has-been, but you got a guy like Eli Apple who's been on this third or fourth team make that tackle. On top of that, I think it was Henderson or Sam Hubbard that was running them down also.
It was Hubbard.
It was Hubbard. So when they didn't get those points and he came out trying to rally, and then you got the young guy that everybody's been talking about as far as Joe Burrow making plays in the second half. I think
Mr. Cool.
I real quick, the guy he's cool. We'll talk about him later, I'm sure, Joe Burrow, but I'm like, golly, they finally got it right. Is that what it was?
I don't know. They picked first overall. I don't give
And you couldn't miss on that one. But
No.
so as far as Patrick Mahomes go, teams, again, I've told you this time and time again. I've said this to everybody. I said it on my show here in Nashville and everything. I'll tell anybody in this league, you have a hot year, do it again. And then do it again. And then make it consistent. And while you're making it consistent, keep getting better and better and better until you start to decline. The league catches up. And Cincinnati, give them credit on their game plan as far as breaking him down.
And they drop back.
They drop back.
Yeah.
The league finds you out, DK.
They do.
They find you out. It's the same reason why Juju got, caught slipping a time or two. It's the same reason why I've had people tell me, man, just get to Ben if you can, but let him find a way. Like, he'll do something. Like, I've had defenders try to tell me that. Like, if you don't get him the first time, the second time around, he's going to kill you as far as his play down the field. Like, that was the thing that people would say. Or whenever Pittsburgh was doing whenever Ty Haley came in and we started doing the dump-off offense and then start taking it over the top, everybody just started saying, well, stand at 5 yards. Watch what this offense does. Truth be told, the last couple of years, what have every defense done?
Clothesline.
They've sat at 5.
Yeah.
There's not much you can do from that, man. And the same thing has happened when it comes down to a young guy like Patrick Mahomes, is they found him out. In a point in which he needed to make plays, he didn't need to make plays.
But you're right. I agree totally with what you said, though, at the very beginning, too, which is that he tried to do too much. And I think in particular – of the drop back that he had, the one that Hubbard sniffed out.
Yeah.
Remember Hubbard was spying?
Yeah.
Okay. So he drops back, Mahomes does, and he has a year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This was down by the end zone there. Okay.
Yep.
Year and a half. Real late in the game. And okay, he's got Kelsey, he's got all these other targets that he could be hitting, and he's going, but I'm gonna, and then he leaves and then Hubbard is like, what the hell, man?
Yeah, for real.
Hubbard just says, I'm gonna
go
sack you
and
here.
Put pressure on you. Yeah, 100%. Like, I think that's what it was. And truth be told, it might be hard from him. I ain't gonna say it's gonna be hard for him, but it might be a little different from him. It's like changing your jump shot, or changing the way you skate. Maybe it's one of those things but if you do it correctly, technically, then you'll be fine. And I think that's where he is as far as being able to pull back on himself and say, look, I got some of the best, and Patrick Mahomes got some of the best weapons, tools, receivers, tight ends, whatever you want to call them.
Every year.
In the world, and he's even their player said, Tyreek Hill said them having Eric Bieniemy and Andy Reid is like having Michael Jordan and what's his name, Phil Jackson. And it is because they are two gurus, and a lot of the time you win offensively in this league. It just sucks though because they had them beat, and Patrick, I think, got to take that one on the chin.
I'm not going to predict the demise of Patrick Mahomes. That's a losing bet. However, I am reminded of that time when a group of us were surrounding Ben Roethlisberger's stall on the south side, and somebody, it wasn't me, asked him about RG3 and this next wave. Do you remember this?
Well, yes, and he got flack behind that too, remember?
He got flack because it sounded like he was knocking him. But it was about for those who didn't hear it was about this next generation of great young NFL quarterbacks. And all Ben said was, let's see where they are after 3 years, which is exactly the time period you just cited. And by the way, was exactly the time period in which nobody ever heard of any of those guys ever again.
No, sir. And that's the one thing I tell my kids or anybody who's doing something sports-wise. If you do it, heck, I can throw a bomb 50 yards down the field and let the receiver run, but do it again. And do it, and that's what the league challenges you to do. There's so many guys sitting in rooms, DK, that are breaking down film that we had never seen. We used to go into games and be like, we grabbed this from 2002 Oakland Raiders, and I'm like, oh, two? Well, there was the same defensive coordinator there, and he coached the defensive line. What?
Ben was in his 17th year, and everyone was claiming to have found some kind of hitch in his foot. Remember?
Yeah.
And there was, he's signaling something here. It's like, I mean, Yeah, I mean, they're going to find it.
It's enough tape. It's not like the old days. There's something. You do something on film that gives it up.
When we come back, we're going to talk about the really just sickening concept of the Cincinnati Bengals being in the Super Bowl here on the Ramon Foster Show. Welcome back to the Ramon Foster Show, brought to you by the Get Go Cafe and Market. And Moan, the Bengals are in the Super Bowl. These are words that should never come out of a human mouth, okay? And it's actually going to happen. Now, we can give credit where it's due and talk about Burrow and talk about the playmakers and Jamar Chase and all these other guys and improved defense. Not me. I want to talk about Pac-Man.
Yeah.
Okay? So these guys are in the Super Bowl, and they are still thinking about the Steelers.
Yep.
It's incredible. I mean, Pac-Man puts out this big statement that says nobody from Pittsburgh is allowed to cheer for the Bengals in the Super Bowl. And I'm thinking, let it go, man. Let it go.
When I saw it, I said, what? Hey, we're keeping this a family show, okay?
Yeah.
But I was like, what the?
And you like Pac-Man. You like him.
Pac.
Yeah.
He's very cordial, man. I bought tickets from him. He didn't even charge me for him. Like when we went to Cincinnati, so much so that his the Bengals told him that you can't sell tickets to no Pittsburgh fans anymore. Like because he did it. Like that's what we were. Super cool. Just he's Pac to me. But when I saw that, I was just like, that's why y'all can't have nice things, man.
Yeah, you're still thinking this big.
Nobody. First and foremost,
you're still thinking you're about to go to the Super Bowl. You're thinking about the AFC North.
Let me know when I'm looking directly into the lens. Am I looking right into it? I'm eye to eye.
Yeah, this is intense.
If you are a Steelers fan who is trying to jump on the Cincinnati Bengals bandwagon, leave right now. Don't finish this episode. None of those things are okay. If you ever in your
it's so wrong.
Those things don't mix.
No. It's not cool. This idea of we're going to pull for our division. No, you're not.
No, not on this one. I'm sorry. I like what Joe Burrow them got going on. Like you said, man, look, I'm tipping my hat to him. I love it. It's cool. I don't know how they did it, but they did. I legitimately couldn't tell you how they did it.
If you got to manufacture enthusiasm for the Rams, which is kind of what everybody has to do in Los Angeles. If you got to do that, then say, listen, Aaron Donald plays for the Rams.
Yeah.
Okay? Pure Pittsburgh kid.
Yeah.
A big heart from Penn Hills High School to, to Pitt.
St. Louis first.
And still he just rebuilt the University of Pittsburgh's locker room at the Steelers complex. He has his own stall in there. I don't know if you know that. They still have a 99 Donald with all his stuff in there. But that's not even the cool part. The cool part is he uses it. He goes there year-round to work out. Yeah,
I remember Coach Tomlin talking about him going back to Pitt every year training. I was just like, it was at the time before I knew who Aaron Donald was.
We see him there.
I know, but I was just like, why are you so high on this Aaron Donald dude, Coach T? He was ahead of the curve on this
Cheer for AD. Leave the Bengals alone.
Yeah, or cheer for Andrew Whitworth. Love him, okay?
Andrew Whitworth.
He was smart enough to get away from Cincinnati, okay?
Yeah, right.
Like, that's where we're at with it. But, again, and I had Brian McFadden on my show, 2-time Super Bowl winner in Pittsburgh. We all know that. And we asked him the question, can you stomach cheering for Cincinnati? He's like, bro, don't ever say that again. Okay, like that was basically the conversation. Don't ever say that again. Is because I respect the heck out of Baltimore, and we all do. But it's those other two that I'm just like, no. There's that you get no handshake or any of that.
No, it's different. It's different. And I noticed that when in the room with you guys, especially in Cincinnati,
it was just nasty with them all the time. And because of that, like Pac saying that, it just solidified what we thought. They hate us because they ain't us.
There was a video of Burrow celebrating in the Cincinnati locker room. This was at Arrowhead Stadium. They had just won the AFC. And there's a player in the background, and I don't know who it is, but he's walking around with a "We Run the North" T-shirt. Now, this is where I'm going to bust you, okay? Because you guys have always been a little guilty of the same thing.
Yeah.
Don't deny it.
Yeah, no, I will
There's
not.
something different about AFC North. When Bill Cowher won his one and only Super Bowl as a member of the Steelers in 2005, and he was speaking to a rally in downtown Pittsburgh on Stanwyck Street, and he made some kind of strange, rambling comment to the effect of that this is like winning against the Bengals or the whatever. And it's like,
Yeah.
and I'm sure everyone in the crowd is going, what?
What?
You just won the Super Bowl, man. We don't care if it was the Seahawks. But that's how you think. It's the division, isn't it?
It really is, man. And it's hard for me to say that, the North isn't one of the best. Now, I acknowledge that the AFC West was pretty stacked. It was pretty stacked this year in general. The AFC West was. But as far as grinding it out, slugfest, you better bring your A game week in and week out, no matter how good or bad you or your opponents in the North are. You just have to. And truth be told, Cincinnati is a testament of it. They went through the grinder. I think, truth being told, they swept us, Pittsburgh. They swept Baltimore. So did Pittsburgh also. And then they split a bad one with the Browns because they didn't have any starters in. Like, when you do those things, the years that we were really, really good, DK, and we was like, say it real low. This might be the year.
Yeah.
It's because you swept those teams.
You graduated.
I'll never forget my first start. You don't become a guy. You don't become a guy until you play and win against Baltimore. Not just play, but play and win. Like those, and so my first start, we ended up losing in Baltimore. We had Dennis Dixon starting, and I'll never forget the next time around. The next year we went to the Super Bowl, and we won. And I'm just thinking to myself, now I'm a Steeler. Like, it's sad that it comes down to that, but if you understand the effects of it, and truth be told, I understand why Pac-Man said what he said. Because they've just been doormats to us for a long time. Even in their good years, we still split one, Now,
I feel like the Bengals grew up at Heinz Field earlier this season because not only did they beat the Steelers, but they beat them badly.
They beat them.
And there's when for anybody who didn't know what I meant by the graduation thing, you got into it. After this last game in Baltimore just now, the one that unwittingly and unknowingly at the time put the Steelers into the playoffs, Ben talked about going to Najee Harris and going to his young offensive linemen and going to Pat Freiermuth and these other guys and saying to them, never forget this feeling.
Yeah.
Okay, there's winning, and then there's winning in Baltimore, and then there's winning in Cleveland, and then there's winning in Cincinnati. This is what being a Steeler is all about.
Yeah.
The rest of it's just freaking gravy.
You know what? I can imagine when you said that, I can imagine wins at each one of those stadiums and what it meant to actually make it out. Not that you survived and won by 1 point, because sometimes you did, but to make it out because those crowds, they understand ball. They hate you.
They know your name.
You're
the third string offensive lineman. They know your name.
They know your name, and they can't wait. Like, you survive going to those games. Ask my wife when they went to Cincinnati. My brothers had to, the women were in the middle. Let's walk out together. Like, you survive those stadiums, man.
I was standing at the base of your tunnel in Cincinnati the day that the spectacular game, the one that the beer came down for Ben, the beer cans when he was on the cart and everything, and Ben was still out on the field, and Mike Tomlin and James Harrison are coming off the tunnel, toward my direction, and then I see Harrison goes like this, and he turns around. And he realizes the quarterback isn't off the field yet. He runs back out to where Ben is and walks Ben off the field. Okay, that's the AFC North.
It is. It is. Like, it's just different. It really is. So when Pac said what he said, to the victor goes the spoils. They're supposed to feel that way because I'm sure some people that would root for Pittsburgh, but we just don't do that when it's the AFC North like that, DK. The fact that he said it on the Pittsburgh station too, I'm just like, but it was the most like, who's asking for that? Nobody.
No one asked your permission.
It's like asking for a spanking when you get by. Like, Mom forgot, y'all. She forgot.
It
Mom,
was me. I took the cookie.
It was me. Like, no, nobody. Again, if that was you that Pac-Man was talking about, I'm not a fan of burning jerseys, but let yours go, please.
When we come back, we're going to talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers. Welcome back to the Ramon Foster Show, brought to you by the Get Go Cafe and Market. Ramon, the Steelers are undergoing some significant change, arguably the biggest change collectively that they've been faced with in 20 years, not just at the quarterback position. I look at that offense right now, and I see, if I had to indelibly stamp who's playing in 2022, I've got Najee Harris, Pat Freiermuth, Deontay Johnson, and
I'm waiting on you to say more.
I could. Well, if you mean Dan Moore as opposed to Moore,
Dan Moore, yeah.
I didn't know if that's what you meant. If you
no,
were being funny there. Okay,
no.
But I look at the entire offensive line and say, no one's anointed anything.
No, absolutely not, and especially at that position, man, because of course there's been so much just up and down with that group. It's been so much like, well, we should do this, and guys missing games, and of course you always have, guys going in COVID protocol and stuff like that. That group in particular, you got Chooks as a free agent. I'm actually trying to look through my list right now. Trey Turner's a guy that's going to be out as a free agent.
And the rest of the group is Dan Moore, Kevin Dotson,
J.C.
Hassenauer, Kendrick Green is a
B.J. Finney.
What do you do? Well, B.J.'s not. I mean, if he couldn't get on the field this year, that's a tough ask.
You know what? We got to have a whole segment about that, because I still say to myself, even still, I thought he was closer to me than he actually was.
Who's that?
Respectfully, BJ. I thought he was my biggest competition.
I know, but it didn't happen this year. Something was off. You know what we heard, and this ended up actually making it onto the injury report at one point, was that he had back issues. Now, if you've got back issues, I'm preaching to the choir here, obviously, and you're playing offensive line in the NFL, it's time to find something else to do.
No doubt about it. It's too much on your back, too much on your spine to actually deal with something like that. But that group in general has to be fixed. And you got to find something. Truth be told, you're going to have to trial by fire a little bit. And I know that's something you're not willing to deal with, but every group goes through it. Every group goes through it, unless you just strike hot the way Kansas City did with their draft picks this year. Getting a 6th-rounder and Trey Smith. I think they got a 1st round. They end up trading for Zeus Brown. They did a whole lot of things to kind of bring it together, and they struggled early.
They did okay with that center, too. So
come on now. Let's be real about it. But with this group right here, you got to ask yourself, what are you going to do with Kendrick? What are you going to do with right guard because you lost him? What are you going to do at left because Dotson was out for the most part? Chooks Okorafor, he's out because he's a free agent unless you bring him back. So you got to decide if you want to pay him. Zach Banner.
I don't even know. That one I don't even want to touch.
It's like, where's Waldo at this point?
Yeah.
There's a different day for that.
And we both love the guy. Just so there's a context here. There's the level of respect. I'm speaking only for myself here.
Yeah.
For Banner is through the roof, but you got to be on the field.
You have to be on the field. But the steady Eddie of the group, truth be told, is Dan Moore. So what do you do? I do like Dan because I feel like what he did in his first year right here of playing this many games, of course you saw some rookie mistakes come out. Depending on the coaching that he gets of whoever comes in, I know a lot of people begging for the guy they call Michael. The guy they call Michael Munchak, the HOF guy. I know they are. I actually had a couple of guys text me about him, like, do you think he will? Like, players asked me that. And I was just like, I don't know, because I don't know, what Matt Canada is going to require as far as his OC goes. But Dan Moore is going to be fine. He gets a lot of good offseason teaching. I know he trains his butt off. It's a fact of him learning the game more mentally here, getting accustomed to what guys are going to pick as far as his weaknesses go. I like what he's done. And again, you got to ask yourself, if you don't have him at left tackle when he's played that for the most part, all of this year, Do you want another revolving door at left tackle?
Yeah.
You know, like a lot of people didn't love Max Starks, but Max was really doggone good at what he was doing. You know, and the same can be said about Al. People hated Al too. But the thing is, you got to look at it and say, man, where are you actually going to get a Trent Williams?
Now,
where are you actually going to get a Andrew Whitworth type that can play for, until he's 40 years old?
Now, the number of Jonathan Ogdens that are out there is exactly zero in the league. They've got work to do over there. I would say that out of the offensive line, I'm with you that Moore is probably the most entrenched, and you'd like to see really. I mean, we talk about him a lot, but you'd really like to see Dotson get the coaching and the awareness, because the brute strength is there. It's so visible. You know
what? And I hope he gets it together, because he has pride about himself. And when you have a guy that has good strength and he's got pride about his work, then you can work with that, DK.
Yeah.
You can work with that, listeners, because then the want to is always there. It's a matter of just tweaking a thing here or there, you know? But there's so many holes that's got to be filled. I'm looking at this list. I didn't even realize Terrell is up. They didn't pick up his fifth-year option.
No. I'm talking to TE. I'll tell you that, especially if Terrell Austin ends up becoming the defensive coordinator, which I believe he will be. And Coach Austin was the one, not to take credit away from the athlete ever, okay, but Coach Austin was the one working with Terrell on a daily basis and really took Terrell from being a player where everyone was kind of like first round bust to, wow, how do we bring this guy back?
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say when you talk about Terrell has been solid. And I actually tweeted that out a few times this year while watching the games. I just had to say to myself, like, you can't fifth-year option both him and Minka. And truth be told, one can be better than the other, and you got to choose. That's the hard part of managing a team, is they had to choose, and they chose Minka as far as the fifth-year option. The thing is, what is his market going to look like as far as bringing him back if you have that opportunity? Terrell is a good safety. Do not misconstrue that with anything else. That's not just a fill-in type of job that he did this year. He was in the box more. They challenged him to be in the boxing tackle. He made some plays on the ball this year also. He had a good year going into his free agency. I got to give that to him.
He was required to be up in the box tackling.
He's
the way those inside linebackers played. But if you look at the beyond the offensive line on the offensive side of the football, I'm seeing Deontay Johnson, and I'm seeing Juju gone. I'm seeing James Washington gone, and I'm seeing that I still don't know if Chase Claypool is going to mature, grow up. And I don't even mean intangibly. I mean just as a wide receiver.
We might have to just sit down with him and have that conversation, DK. Just talk to him so we can see where he is. As far as
he'd listen to you.
Where are you? You know, because the same thing we've talked about as far as your play in the league. Look, be better 1, 2, and 3, and then find your level at where you at. Like, where are you at as far as being a pro too? You know, like the first year, go crazy, whatever you got to do. Now you're in the league.
Well, where are your sights? What do you expect from yourself? This is one of those things, like back when we had, pre-COVID, we could get into locker rooms and do real interviews with people. Those are the kind of questions that I would ask. Like, what do you? Well, not in a
condescending way,
condescending or confrontational way. You just say, where do you see yourself being? When you look around and see Jamar Chase making the plays that he's making, when you look around and see the expectations that others have had for you, not in a derisive way.
DK, like, do comparables. DK Metcalf, Amari Cooper, big wide receivers.
Big wide receivers that body guys off, that fight for the football, that time their high point right, and like hell to come down with it.
Not Godwin, but the other receiver in Tampa. Not Godwin, but Mike Evans. Mike Evans.
Yeah.
Like, there's your template. Even A.J. Brown here in Nashville. Like,
not even A.J. Brown. I'd put A.J. Brown near the top of that list.
You see what I'm saying? Like, that's what's expected. Like, that fan base didn't root for you that much. You didn't go to Notre Dame and grind out that much to say, I just want to be middle of the road, because middle of the road gets you with an empty hand. Like, go get it, young fella.
Yeah, and find your way to get open space. Find a way to create yourself, comeback routes. something that he was doing as a rookie, and then he stopped doing it in his second year. I don't know. We'll see. My point is, there's a lot that needs to be done there.
It is, and I just got to say, the blanket is gone, y'all.
Yeah, and then there's that. I didn't even mention that position.
He's kept us warm for 18 years.
The blanket.
We got to talk about it at some point, DK, whenever you're ready. But
yeah, well, let's do the big quarterback thing next week. Let's do that, and where this is all going. Not to throw a cruel tease out to everybody, but
we might as well.
Just give you some expectations for next week.
Absolutely.
All right, Moan, get back to shoveling that Tennessee snow.
This layer of ice is all that it is.